fighting and like the fight life and MMA is the only place that I feel like I belong.
Yeah. Okay, so the other day, yesterday, it's all a blur. You said something that reminded me that as well as I know you, there's still stuff that I either forget about you or that I don't know about you. And so that's where I wanted to start it.
Okay.
So Anthony Smith,
Yes,
you grew up Mormon.
I did. I did. Is that where we're starting?
That's a giant surprise.
Okay. Yeah.
Tell me about growing up Mormon in Nebraska.
Okay. So my grandpa was Mormon, and I don't know how far it went back.
RLDS or Mormon? Because there's a little bit of a difference.
He was RLDS.
Okay.
So that's how he was raised. I don't know how far back that goes with his family. But my mom was a pretty strict Latter-day Saint Mormon.
Okay.
Like I was like passing sacrament and
In temple?
yeah, I was all the way.
Wow.
I was all the way.
Until what age?
Shit started getting weird when I was 12 or 13, probably.
Yeah.
And I've heard Joe Rogan talk a lot about the Mormon religion and like he likes to call it a cult, but he calls it the nicest cult that's out there. Like I wouldn't go that far. Like it's very much like a Christian religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really the religion that I had a whole lot of problems with. It was maybe the way that they treat people that are different and don't like really fit in the box. I don't know if everyone out there knows. I don't really fit in a box.
What?
It's hard to put me in a box.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask, was it partly because you're half black?
No. There was never any racial stuff. It was I was just a wild child. I was wild. Like I always like to say like I was extraordinary. Like I wouldn't say I was extraordinary in anything, but I was just
extra.
I was just different. I've always been different. I've always been different. I've never ever thought that I was going to spend the rest of my life working like a 9 to 5. And I'm not knocking people that do that. People have fantastic lives and live, great lives, have great careers, have a lot of fun and do a lot of cool shit. I just never fit in that box.
Mm-hmm.
So like waking up and going to a job never fit in my personality. And that's kind of the thing like across my entire life. Like I never fit in that like normal day-to-day shit, like waking up and going to school and like doing that normal school shit, never fit in.
But you grew up on a farm, so like I can only imagine. I don't know. I envision you. You're a weird dichotomy, and weird. I mean weird in like the nicest way, in a way that you don't really fit into any box.
I don't.
Which is why it's fun to talk to you and hear about your life. So like you grew up on a farm. You've got this like Nebraska, Midwest, hardworking farm Mormon, but yet that's not really the hardworking part. Yes, but like that's not really the you that I know.
No, and there's like a total other side to that too. There's like my whole dad's side that's very much hard-nosed, like suburban projects in Houston, a lot of drugs and jail and prison and like there's that side of it that I very much fit into very well.
Did you feel like you felt more at home with like that with your dad's side of the family, more of that urban culture?
No, I don't feel like I fit in anywhere.
Yeah.
I think that's why like MMA grabbed me. I've said this for years. Fighting and like the fight life and MMA is the only place that I feel like I belong.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the MMA community accepted me, and I never like the farm life, redneck, back roads, hillbilly shit.
Yeah.
I very much enjoy the urban, kind of project street life side of it. I very much enjoy. Like I love going back and hanging out in that atmosphere. Like I really enjoy it. I don't really like fit in anywhere. Like I'm kind of weird in the redneck life. Like I don't like think everyone else kind of looks at me funny there.
Yeah.
And then it's the same on kind of the other side.
You told me one time you're like, I don't really have a team.
I don't. Yeah. And that's I think that's the racial part of it. A little bit.
Is that a lonely feeling or is that a freeing feeling because you can be on any team?
I wouldn't say lonely. I would say it fits in with who I am as a person. Like I'm kind of a chameleon. I can kind of fit in anywhere, and I think that's the drastic differences in my upbringing, whether it's my mom's side or my dad's side. Like my mom's side, redneck as shit. My dad's side, straight up ghetto. I hope when they watch this, I hope they don't think I mean that in like a negative way. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And so I kind of can slither and slide and move and groove into any kind of situation and be fairly comfortable in those situations. It sounds cliche and it sounds crazy, but like MMA and like the fight life and the fight game very much fits my personality. It's very much where I feel like that. It's the only place I feel like I feel.
I heard, we've both seen the
which, before I go, sounds like I'm selling something. Like it sounds like
you never sound like you're. Yeah, that's what's so great about you is you never sound like you're selling anything because you're just. I think that's why people.
I would have a lot more money if I could sell some shit. I would. I just can't fake it.
That's what people like about you.
I can't fake it.
You can't, which is great, and that's why I think you come across so well in interviews, on television, all that stuff because you're just unapologetically honest about who you are or whatever it is that you're talking about.
To a fault sometimes.
Well, whatever. I think it served you well. But what I was gonna say was we've all seen that package that the UFC rolls whenever you have like a big fight and it's you in Nebraska and like, talking about how you were at a Subway or whatever, you saw the flyer.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen that promo so many times and I love it. But it was more than just the flyer. Like what was it mentally that like attracted you to fighting? Because we talked about this the other day. When you started fighting, like when I started fighting, it's not like you're like, oh, this is a career path for me. I'm going to be able to provide for a family this way. It wasn't about that.
No, it cost us money to fight back then. We were getting invoices, not paychecks.
It's a dangerous hobby.
Yeah. It was. Oh, excuse me. It was. I remember. It had nothing to do with the fighting part of it. Like the fighting, I would do that anyways. I grew up a half black kid in a small Nebraska town. Like I was already different. I didn't need a reason to fight. Like I could find a fight if I needed one. And I found myself in plenty, but it was the atmosphere that drew me to it. And it's very much why I think my career started with jiu-jitsu. Like I gravitated more towards jiu-jitsu at the beginning. I remember going to that first fight. I had no intention of fighting. And I just was watching. And I remember walking into that auditorium in the South Sanko in South Omaha. It's not a fantastic part of town. I love it there, but it wouldn't be pegged as like the nice part of town. And it was just all sorts of different people. There was white people and black people and Latinos. And there was people that were, it was like the affliction shirt generation, like if you had some money.
The best generation of MMA, if you ask me.
Right. Like if you had some money, you were wearing like, you had some jewelry on your jeans and some affliction shirts. And if you didn't,
the jeans with the giant stitches.
Yeah. The white stitching. It was the shit, right? But there was like that crew, and then there was like, some of the Latino gang members, and there was some of the like African American gang members, and everyone was just stirring in this pot. And there wasn't a lot of like drama. There wasn't a lot of fights. It was just this cultural just batch of shit. It was just, but it worked. And everyone just wanted to fight. And it, the guy that owned the organization, I'd love to fucking shout him out because to this day we're still friends, but his name was Tim Baser. And like he at the beginning, he marketed it like you could just show up and fight and you could settle your beefs there. There was no athletic commission. There was no like doctor's checks. There was nothing. Like you didn't know who you were going to fight.
Why would we need that?
You just just filled out this piece of paper and they matched up as close as they could. And, he would market it to, some of the gay community and say like, put the guns down and put your fists up. Like, and they would settle their beefs there.
That's cool.
And every once in a while shit got kind of crazy. It's a weird group of people to get together, but I just really love the atmosphere. I love the mixture of just a mess, I guess. But jiu-jitsu is very much the same. When you get a bunch of jiu-jitsu guys on the mat, there's doctors and there's felons and there's young people and old people, and all different races and religions, and everybody's the same, you know?
That's part of what made me fall in love with it too, because I grew up, I don't know, I kind of grew up somewhat the same, but like in many ways very, very differently, where I grew up in this really sort of sheltered, very, very Christian world. And I think there were 2 Black kids in my entire high school, which was a small high school, but still, regardless. I mean, not a lot of diversity, you know, and it wasn't until MMA that I met anybody who was Muslim, or anybody who had been in prison, or anybody, you know, I lived, you know, I went to youth group twice a week. I went to a Christian school. My life revolved around church and was very much like those people. So I had never met anybody.
Like a certain type of people.
Yeah, I never met anybody that had been addicted to drugs. Like I never met anybody that had been in prison. And it's not like my parents were intentionally keeping me in this bubble. It was just the way my life was situated. So I feel like MMA really, I don't know, it just exposed me to the real world and really made me fall in love with like people, as weird as that sounds, of all different walks of life.
I don't think that's weird. Like, I couldn't tell you how many times I've been in rooms where there's like a felon who's out of prison, who's been in and out of it, and like really turned his life around, training like hand in hand, like partnering during drills with a cop.
Yeah. And
they don't care what each other, what they do on the street, or what they have done, or what he does for a living. These guys are like brothers. And like when they leave, they go their separate directions, but it's not like sometimes when we leave and we go to lunch, and like we're all like everyone's an equal. Or there was like at an old gym, I wouldn't say the name of the construction company, but a very big like national construction company, and one of the like CEOs, like a higher up, was a jiu-jitsu guy. And then like bottom of the barrel, like entry level construction worker with a shovel digging holes for no reason for the same company is sharing the mat and training and drilling and helping, you know, a guy that's making millions of dollars in this company. And they're like, when they're at work, like this guy's in a suit and tie and running shit, and this guy is, you know, in boots and jeans digging holes, and like these guys are on level playing fields on the mat. And you know, okay, I tell this story all the time. My oldest daughter was attacked by a dog. I don't know if you know that.
I do know that, yeah.
So really bad. She was bitten in the face, and this is before I was back in the UFC. You know, grinding on the regional scene, trying to make it. And my oldest daughter gets just mauled by a dog, face destroyed. And one of the guys that like really helped me out in my training camps, he was like a surgeon, like a plastic surgeon, and never treated me any differently. Like he's crazy successful, really well-known name. I go to practice and he's helping me get ready for this fight, and you know, I'm a mess. My kid has been attacked by a dog. I've got this fight coming up, and you know, I'm showing pictures to my coach, and he's trying to figure out why I'm such a mess. Anyways, and he comes up to me, he says, "Bring her to me, I can fix her." Like I can fix her face. Like any person that's confident enough to tell you like I can fix your child's face probably believes it for sure. So I would have never met that guy had it not been for this sport and jiu-jitsu and like that brotherhood that we have on the mat. And to this day, she, you know, now she's 10 years old.
You would never know it either. She doesn't have any
know. And I'm not sure.
Anything.
Like I've talked to other doctors that have seen it. Like there was other doctors that weren't sure they could fix it.
Really?
And he had no reservations. Like, I'll fix that. And I know because of our connection on the mats that I got the best of him while they were in surgery. Like just all this other bullshit is worth it. Just because of that small connection that I made with that really good guy, that in any other walk of life, him and I would have never crossed paths, ever. And like I know I got the best of him to fix her face.
That's amazing.
Like I know that sounds crazy, but that's a small part of, you know, what this sport has done for me over the years.
I'm involved with this group called Wimp to Warrior, and they're kind of rebranding.
Oh, we need to talk about
I know we do. They're rebranding and they're relaunching. They're calling it Alta because it's, I don't know, point being like, it's less about going from a wimp to being a warrior, and more about the change that training MMA brings to people's lives. You don't have to go on and be an Anthony Smith. You don't have to go on and be some huge UFC fighter. It's what you just talked about. Like, it's the training, it's the people you meet, it's the change that you have inside of yourself that is what makes MMA so magical. And it sounds so, I don't know, goofy and kind of like dramatic, I guess to say, but like, dramatic. But I genuinely feel like MMA, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai training, like all of those things could truly solve so many problems in the world today because of the things that we just talked about.
Yeah.
Like the people that you should have, that the world tells you should have the biggest problems with, the people you should have your chip on your shoulder against, the people that, you know, you should be like, oh, I don't talk to that person, whatever it is. Martial arts, MMA in general, takes all of that away and strips it away and forces you in a very literal way when it comes, especially like the grappling component or jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember, you know how it is. Like, even when you're female or smaller, especially early on, like you're mixing in with everybody. It doesn't matter. You know, like I'll grapple with a 185-pound guy just because if you're training out, you know, drilling partners or whatever. And people I never would have like been in close. Intimate sounds like a weird word because everybody just assumes like when you say intimate, it turns into like a sexual.
I was thinking intimate when you said that.
It's so intimate.
Like, I think other people outside of our world, we would think of that word as like, yeah, that's just grappling.
Yeah,
it's intimate.
It is intimate,
but it does sound weird, probably to other people that aren't in this world.
It's. I don't know. This is gonna sound.
There's not a better word.
There isn't a better word because when you're forced to be physically close to another human being and like struggle against them and have their sweat fucking drip in your eye and like, you know, all of the stuff like.
You're not making these sexual connotations go away, by the way.
Why do you have sweat drip in your eye? You're having.
Only in two situations.
Okay. Wow, you admit, man. All right, you guys are man. Go with Kayla. I gotta get. See, this is what happens. This is why I added this to the mix because it's gonna get wild.